and welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. The gentleman sitting next to me is somebody who's in an industry that I've been around forever. Though I don't work in that industry, I've been around it, and that's the marine industry. With me is Phil Lopalato. Did I get it right?
You got it.
Okay. I think if I get it wrong, we just start all over again. Okay. You're in a company called
Aqualink Marine Electronics.
Okay. How long have you been around the industry?
I've been doing this for about 19 years, going on 20.
Why? I mean, how'd you pick this? Because it's like so specific.
I grew up around the water.
In Florida?
In Florida.
Okay.
Down in Hollywood.
Okay.
Cooper City area. I had a little bass boat behind our house.
Okay.
And, it was an electric motor, and there was a lake behind the house, and we would go out on that. And at the same time, my family had boats.
Okay.
So I've been boating since I was a little kid, and without even knowing it, in high school I went and took 4 years of electronics.
Ah, okay.
So my career started in high school without knowing it, and once I got into tech school, which I knew I wanted to work on boats after having so much fun on them all that time, that's when the electronics courses coincided with tech school, because it was a marine service course where I learned mechanics, fiberglass, electronics, electrical. So I was able to mesh myself into whichever one of those entities.
And electronics was what you wanted.
I've always loved electronics.
So I got a scholarship to a school called RCA. It really named, when I went, is TCI, which was Technical Career Institute, and I did electronics. So here I was fixing TVs, and it was easy because what you did was, when you had to fix a TV, you just pulled out a tube and replace it. That tube wasn't it. Put out a different tube, replace it, until you just pulled out a tube until you found the right one.
Right.
Until you found the right one. And I loved electronics as it was, and I would take everything apart even as a kid.
Same here.
That's what we did. And my dad would always go, "Are you looking where the feet grow?" Okay, that was his favorite saying, because I'd take everything apart and put it back together, and there would always be parts left over, but I put it back together. But there was something about it that I just didn't follow up. And when you talk about marine stuff, I had boats since I'm 17.
Right.
Electronics has changed drastically.
They've come a long way. They sure have.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this because I think people need to know this. You got a boat. You're going to take it on the water. What's the most important piece of electronics that should be on that boat?
In my opinion, and in the industry, you'd want to have a VHF radio,
Okay.
a GPS positioning system.
Which was not around when I was a kid.
No, I believe it was Loran
Right.
before that.
And you couldn't afford it, so it didn't matter.
So VHF radio, anything pertaining to safety first. You want to take care of your family and anybody you have on that boat. So the most important things are safety. So that would go with a chart plotter, GPS to tell you where you are, and a radio to tell you to be able to communicate with the shore,
right,
or emergency services to come and help you if you're in trouble.
All right. So now, with those two things out of place, what is the equipment that you work on the most besides those two?
Besides those two, I do a lot of stereo work.
Okay.
A lot of stereo systems, high-end, high-quality sound. We do a lot of lighting.
Lighting?
LED lighting.
Okay, lighting, for lack of a better word, entertainment lighting or
Both.
safety lighting?
Both.
Okay.
I do safety lighting and entertainment lighting. So
Okay.
safety lighting would go to your navigation lights, your anchor light on board, anything required to be on that vessel to run at night.
Okay.
So entertainment lighting now goes down to underwater lighting, deck lighting, under gunnel lighting, any way to make that boat glow whatever color you want.
It's amazing how people think nowadays.
All the new boats come with them now. So
Really?
That's more of where my clientele bases itself, where I'm looking for customers that have older boats that want to make their newer boats look, or make their boats look new, rather. I apologize.
Interesting. Okay. What size boats do you work on?
I've worked on 20 footers up to about 150 footers.
Did you work on
in my
150
career? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm addicted to watching Below Deck Mediterranean
hmm
and those shows.
Everybody loves that show.
Okay, it's so ridiculous.
It is.
And Captain Sandy,
hmm
I actually messaged on Facebook with her girlfriend, and I'm going to interview Captain Sandy here. And they're in Lauderdale, so it's not too bad. And then you watch the show, I guess.
Every once in a while, I catch
Okay, so
catch snippets of it.
The chef, Ben.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's another one that I'm in contact with.
Okay.
So I binge watched that, but going to you, it's so cool what some of these big boats have. Electric doors,
hmm
okay?
Everything's electric now.
The transom door, all electric. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I had a 34-foot Sea Ray, a 340. It was $107,000 when I bought it 100 years ago.
hmm
Okay, I can't even imagine how it is today. Okay, it had everything. Generator had it for that time.
Right.
Okay. What's like the average boat today? If I went to buy a boat, I'd probably
Mhm.
buy a 24-footer. I
Okay.
don't, because it's a bay boat, but you
Right.
can take it in the ocean if it's a calm day. Like, what's the average boat that you work on?
The average size?
Yeah.
I would say around 35, 40 feet is the average.
Okay, so now let's go back to the underwater lighting.
hmm
Okay, so the boat has to come out of the water for you to do this, I'm sure.
Correct.
Okay. Do you mount those lights in the hull or to the hull?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
They make surface mount lights, which are like it sounds. They just mount to the surface, and the wires fed through.
Okay.
And is wired into to the switching system, or they have what are called through hull housings. So through hull housings, you actually have to drill a hole through the hull of the boat and slide the sleeve in, and then seal it from front and back.
So
So
that
you have a larger hole.
that would be considered recessed lighting, right? Like in
They
the
call that.
ceiling?
They call that. They would call it that. That's called through hull lighting.
There's got to be some sort of pride when you finish something like that and you put the boat back in the water and you turn them on for you to see all those lights come on and do what they're supposed to do.
For me, I think about where I came from and how I started in the industry and what I didn't know.
Okay.
And it's just time and experience that brought me to a level that, like you said, every time you finish something, you're in awe of what you do.
Okay, but like here, it's got to be changing constantly.
It is constantly changing.
How do you keep up with everything?
You do the best you can, and you have a lot of training. There's a lot of training seminars. There's a lot of research to be done. There's certifications that need to be renewed every 2 years. So our company is a member of the NMEA,
Okay.
which the NMEA, the National Marine Electronics Association, they are the ones that set the standards for all of these installations on vessels up to 150 feet and more.
Wow.
So anything that gets wired for electronics, there is a proper standard for that in the NMEA standards book.
And is that because they're so close to water? Or is that because
There's a lot of reasons why. One is waterproofing and making sure. The other is electromagnetic interference.
in what aspect? Because we're not that smart.
So anything metal or magnetic that can be around any of this equipment
Mhm.
can actually affect its capability and functionality.
Oh, okay, so that makes sense.
So all of these wires are tin copper. There's nothing magnetic on this equipment that would cause anything else to interfere with each other. And sometimes someone, if you have a autopilot system and the customer takes their anchor and puts it right in the compartment next to the compass, what
Hmm.
happens when you put a screwdriver next to a compass?
Hey, it's going to pick up.
It's going to throw it off,
Right.
a drastic amount. So that will take your boat course in a totally different direction.
Okay, so I'm ignorant. So radar on
Mhm.
top of a boat,
Mhm.
is that the thing that constantly turns?
That is the radar. That's correct.
Okay. That is for weather? Is that for direction? What's it for?
That is for weather. That is for safety. That is for targeting and location. For weather, you are able to zoom out to a long range and actually see clouds moving. So as the radar sweeps, you'll see the cloud adjusting its course and moving along in real time like you would on the TV. For targeting and safety, you're looking for other vessels.
Okay, that would make sense. Does it? Okay, so this is the only reason I know some of the stuff is because I watched Below Deck. So I had a boat and it had a depth finder. Okay, and told me how deep the water was.
Right.
And it was supposed to help me find fish, but it didn't really do that good a job of that. Is this the same today? Like, or is like this piece of equipment that does this, and that, or is it a separate piece of equipment?
If you're talking 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I would say it changed a lot. Right now, back then they had single down shooting systems that would give you a painting of what you see,
Right.
and that's pretty much it. Now they have systems that shoot down, sideways, forward, to basically give you a 3D image on your screen of where that target or that rejection was underwater in correlation to where your boat is.
Okay, so new boats, I'm guessing this is almost like standard equipment?
Most of the new boats today come with the provisions for it. However, some of them are not fully outfitted. For instance, you need about two or three transducers depending on the manufacturer you use.
Mm-hmm. That's a little piece that sits on the bottom of the boat.
Yeah,
that shoots the power down.
Again, they make transom mounts which go on the back of the boat, and then they make through hulls, the same as underwater lights. So you actually have to put a hole in, put the housing in, and seal it from the back. But those, they make traditional ones that just shoot down and give you the bottom painting.
That's what I had.
Which now the definition is much more clear, and you can actually make out what you're looking at. You're not just looking at certain targets on the bottom. They're actually more defined, and you can actually separate species of fish.
Can you really?
With the fish finder, yes.
Wow.
You can actually see what kind of fish you're fishing for if you have the experience with fishing.
Right.
I have a lot of captain clients that tell me about what they caught on their sonar, and I said, how do you know that? He said, well, I've been doing this for so long, and we were fishing for those, so yes.
So I'm going to guess, and if I'm using the wrong terms, it's too bad. I'm going to guess that the dash on the boat now is pretty well equipped with equipment.
It is. It's very, very well equipped.
I mean, we had a top mount thing here, depth finder, and about 6 switches here for the lights, and bilge pump, and we were basically done. It's not like that anymore.
Right, no, it's not. And actually, one of my new specialties that I'm doing is dash panels.
Okay.
So acrylic panels with your electronics and your switches with custom engraving for your labeling.
Right.
For your switch labels, and we can put any graphic, your boat logo, your
cool.
any names you want, or just to sharpen it up, we could put a trim line around it and backlight it.
Oh wow. Technology never ceases to amaze me.
No.
I stand here and I can put really anything behind me I want. I remember a day where I had to film behind a banner, a poster that's like over there.
Mm-hmm.
Technology is a blessing and a curse.
It is.
Okay. Do you ever get requests that you say, what are you thinking? Why do you think you need this? Like a guy with a 14-foot boat saying, I want to put a Loran up, or I want to put a radar on. Do you ever get requests that are so ridiculous?
It depends on where they want to put it.
Okay.
I guess I should say. I've seen some things where it's not so much if I don't question why you want to put something on a boat anymore, because I've already gotten to a point where I understand everybody's got different needs.
Right.
And wants, and I've come across the weirdest requests.
Most of them in the idea of sound.
Sound's
got to be ridiculous, because it's ridiculous in cars. 4 cars in front of me, I hear the bass of his car.
I will just say sound and security. security systems. I've done. There have been some awkward packages, I would say.
You know, it's funny because, and we're running out of time, but I was in the security field. I put cameras on Clematis Street, most of the restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
I did bug detection for people that I don't really want to talk about.
Right.
I put, in West Palm, they used to have the stadium where they did their summer league, like
Mhm.
we have here. And some of the requests that I get from some of these baseball players of where put miniature cameras in their cars and in their houses was just unbelievable. And where they want to bug the phone, and I just go, if you have to put a wiretap on your phone in your house because of your wife, you shouldn't be married to that person. That's just my opinion, okay? But thousands and thousands of dollars they'd spend, you know, and I'm looking at them like, you're crazy. You know, it's not, but I guess the divorce would be more expensive. I guess the divorce would be more expensive. Okay,
I would imagine.
yeah. We're at the top of our time. How do people find you? You have a website?
I do have a website. It's www.aqualinkmarine.com.
And a phone number?
772-284-3394 is my phone number.
All right. I say this all the time. Use a professional. If you don't use a professional, it's going to cost you 5 times more in money at least and 10 times more in aggravation. And if you're putting in hull lights by yourself, you're crazy. I'm just saying. You're crazy because when we have to pull the boat off the bottom of the water, you only have yourself to blame. Phil, I want to thank you for coming on.
Wayne, thank you for having me.
Everybody, have a great day. We'll be right back. Stay safe.